What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dad Does Videos. Today we've got another arcade cabinet build for you, and this time it is the iconic Tron cabinet from the early 1980s. If you've watched some of my videos, you know this is probably going to be another Arcade1Up machine, and it is. We've done a bunch of these in the past. There's such great value for kind of the 3/4 size cabinets, the replicas of the original ones that were built years and years and years ago, and this one is no different. If you watch the video, I take you through the steps. At the end of it, we turn it on, show you what it looks like. But to give you a little appetizer, it replicates the original. Black light, lit up marquee, lit up panel below, and of course, the lit up blue joystick. Follow along as we build it. And as you can see here, we have all of our box unpacked. Let's take a look at the instructions. And as you can see here, all that you need is a Phillips head screwdriver, no drilling. Here's all the different pieces and parts that we'll need to put together the cabinet. And by the way, if you're looking around in your box and you can't find the various screws and dowel rods and brackets, they're kind of hidden. There they are. Again, lots of parts to this that we'll put together, as you can see here, all laid out. The really nice thing that Arcade1Up does is it labels each of the different pieces, so it's really hard to get confused on which piece is which, because as you'll see when we go through the instructions and as I guide you through it, the actual pieces are labeled too. So on the back of each of these pieces and parts, there will be a sticker that says D1 or E1. So not only in the instructions do you see what they're called, but when you're actually putting the cabinet together, you know what each of the pieces is called. Okay, let's get into it. We have step 1 in front of us, and we'll do the first part, step A, within step 1 first. As you can see here, we have piece G right on our instruction booklet, and we need to find 4 dowel rods. Those are pieces A. We're just going to simply stick those into our piece G. And as you can see here, you're going to find 4 holes on each side, but you want to put the dowel rods into the innermost holes. So in reality, there are 4 holes. You want to put the dowel rods in here and in here on each side. Okay, part B of step 1, as you can see here, we're going to grab D2 and D1 and just simply connect them with these 2 dowel rods right there. And here's D1. You can see the sticker there. There's D2, and just going to put those dowel rods in and connect the 2 pieces. Only 2 holes on D2, so it's really easy to figure out where to put the dowel rod. So you just put those in and just slide this into the 2 holes that are opposite the holes on D2. And we've got that step taken care of. Okay, so step C, I guess, within step 1, we are simply going to connect piece D2 and D1 together with some screws and these piece eyes right here. So in reality, those pieces are going to go right over the top of these 4 screws. Now, for whatever reason, and like I mentioned earlier, Arcade1Up is usually really good about labeling everything. These are the piece eyes, and they just go, as you can see here, there are 4 holes. They just go right on top of right there, but they're not labeled in the bag, and I have no idea why. So just like that. Then we're just going to use our C screws and go right in there. Again, Phillips head only, no drilling. Okay, so we're moving on to step 2 here, and we are going to get the piece that we just made, the combined D1 and D2, and thread some screws through a couple bottom holes into the first piece that we put the dowel rods into, G. So in real life, here is our big piece, I guess D1 and D2 side of the cabinet. And just to take note here, in the directions here, you can see Arcade1Up does a pretty good job of letting you know which side should be on the outside. So this is the outside of the cabinet. You can see these holes going down here. And as you can see on our cabinet, at least I'm going to try to show you, we've got those same holes going up the side. So that's how you know which side is the outside. And again, like I mentioned earlier, this is the side that does not have the stickers on it. And the stickers typically are almost always on the inside of the cabinet. These two holes right here are going to be where we thread our B screws into, right there. And there is our G piece right there. And as you can see it, it's right in back. So be careful that you put your G piece in the right way. This line on the bottom should be kind of down, so to speak, in the picture. So in real life, here's that piece right here, or that line, that's gonna go down just like this. So we slide our G piece in to the bottom of the cabinet. Those dowel rods are gonna go, there's gonna be one that goes in here and one that goes right down here. And then those screws from the other side, those B screws, will come right through here and through the outside one. Okay, first part of step 3, we are just going to grab our L piece and insert these 2 dowel rods into each side. As you can see here, we're going to put the dowel rods into the holes on the outside, not the one in the middle. So in reality, dowel rods go in these 2 on each end. Okay, so we're moving on to the second part of step 3, which I guess is step B, and that is where we're going to put piece J on the inside of the cabinet. And again, you know this is the inside of the cabinet because you flipped it around. You can see the diagonal piece right here. We've got our brackets on the inside, just as we see here, brackets, and then there's our diagonal piece. But here's piece J. The proper way to install it is with these holes on the side facing to the right. The improper way, as you can see, there are no holes on this side. We don't want to do that. So here's our piece J. You can see holes right there. We're gonna flip it around so that it mimics this picture. Holes are on the right, so when we put it on the cabinet right here, the holes will be on the right side. Okay, similar situation in the next part of this step as we put in H1 into the cabinet as well. Again, you'll want to see in the picture here, the right way to do this is with the hole facing down. You don't want to have the hole facing up, as indicated here. So here's our piece. We want that hole facing down when we install it. And where you install it is, there are these 2 screw holes right here. We're just gonna put it right into there, just like this. And the last part of step 3 is basically getting our pieces PP ready, because even though it's telling us we're going to insert them into the side here, we don't have dowel rods on these, so I just put these right here, my P pieces ready, and we've got our L piece over on the side, and we're simply going to insert that into the relevant spot in the cabinet because that one does have the dowel rods on it from our earlier part of step 3. So I'm just gonna slide that in because in the next step, we are going to attach it to the cabinet with the screw. I'll just kind of lay it down there for now. And note, my L piece, you can see the side that is kind of facing in towards the cabinet has the screws on it right here. And like I mentioned in that previous step here in step 4, we are simply going to attach those 2 P pieces with 2 screws each, and then 1 screw with the L piece on the other side, the outside, so to speak, of the cabinet. So I will go ahead and do that and give you a shot of what that should look like when you are finished. Okay, and this is what your 2 P pieces should look like when attached, and there is your L piece. Again, similar to the L piece, please note that the on the P pieces, you can see the screws down here. Those should face inside, and on the outside, so to speak, of your P pieces, you should just be able to see the pre-drilled holes. Moving along to step 5 now, we're just going to secure our brackets here to the back of the control panel with the C screws. So in real life, this is your control panel, and you are going to put your brackets right here. There's the first one, goes right in there. There's another one that goes up there, right there. And then this last one over here goes right there. Now, when you put these in, make sure they are set up like this, rather than flipped around like that. Moving along to step 6, we are going to attach that control panel that we just attached the brackets to the cabinet that we've been working on. And we're gonna put it right in this little diagonal slot right there. So in real life, there's our diagonal slot. And here are the 2 sets of holes you are going to use to attach the control panel to. So, in real life, here's our control panel. We want to make sure the antenna is at the top here. We just put that in. The slot. Line up the brackets with the holes down here and just attach. Step 7, 2 parts for step 7. Let's get through this first part, and that is just getting your piece B. This is the Marquee, by the way, and we're just gonna slip 4 dowel rods in the sides. And again, just pay attention to where you're putting these. As you can see here, we have 3 holes. You're gonna put your dowel rods and the 2 outside ones on each side. Okay, part B here of step 7. You get our piece M. You can see these are the speakers. I could have that piece laid out right there. And what we're going to do is attach that bracket to the top. So here's my bracket. It's going to go right like that. And again, make sure it's positioned like that, not like this. Also, as you can see here, we have dowel rods to put in, 6 of them. So you're going to put those 2, again, on the outside holes on each side, and then up top, 1 here, and then 1 there. All right, so we're moving on to step 8. And as you can see here, we are simply just going to connect our piece M to piece B, the Marquee. So M and B, and make sure your piece B has the strip at the top, as you can see right here. And what we're simply going to do is screw in these C screws into the top part of the bracket into the holes right here on B. So, and as we're doing that, we're putting our dowel rods in the bottom of B as well. So the pieces will sit together like that, and your screws go in right here and right here. Moving along to step 9, we're gonna put our dowel rods into piece S, and then put piece S into the side of the cabinet. So with our dowel rods, as you can see here, we're not putting them in the outer holes, just the inner ones. So on our piece, not in these wider ones, but in the inside ones. In the second part of step 9, we're simply going to slide that piece S into the cabinet. As you can see here, that is going to go right in here. Those are where your dowel rods are going to be. And notice on here, we see on the picture that our screws are on this side of the piece. So when we put this in, there are screws. We want those facing us, just like in the picture. Just like that. Onwards to step 10, we're gonna get that piece we just made a couple steps ago, that combined MB piece, and put that right in these holes right here into the cabinet. So in real life, that is right in there. All right, we have that in. And then notice in the second part of step 10 here, we want to thread those wires behind this piece that's sticking up right here, not over top of it. So you can see what I've done right here. You can see all the wires coming from the speaker / marquee piece, and then they go behind this rectangular piece that I have right there. All right, so we're moving along to step 11. We have lots of stuff going on here. We've got N1 going in, this narrow piece. We've got a slightly wider piece, N, going in front of it, and then piece I. And these all just slide in for now. As you can see here, when we put N1 in, we want to have the kind of whiter part to the left. And what I mean by that is this, because this is N1, we want to have this part that way. So when we put this in, we're simply just going to stack it just like that. It should just slide in there. As you can see, there's the white part more towards this side, just as we have here. And then we're just going to simply slide in pieces N and I. Notice on I here, we have the grooves towards the bottom of the cabinet. So here's piece N. Just gonna slide this right in front of that piece that we just put in. As you can see, this piece, it doesn't matter which way you have it because it looks the same from any side. And then here's our piece I. As you can see here, here are the grooves on the end. And that is simply going to slide right in this spot right there. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in just like that for right now. Okay, so moving along to that next part of step 11, we're gonna connect E2 to E1 with our dowel rods. And this is the same thing that we did with the other side of the cabinet. So as you can see, I've got mine all set up and ready to go. So you can see there's E2. There's a dowel rod there and one right there. We're just gonna put those in to those holes. And again, just like we did with the other side, we are going to connect these two and secure them with our I pieces up here and the C screws. So we'll just put those right into these holes right here. So before we move on to step 12, I am going to go off the rails a little bit here and take this protective covering off of the screen and the part right below it. I like to do this now because I feel like it gets a little harder later on when Arcade1Up tells you to do that officially in the directions. Certainly just my take on this. You don't have to do that, but I like to do it right now. And if you are going to do it right now, I like to loosen some of these screws as I go. Just do a couple at a time because it makes it easier to get the plastic covering out around these. All right, and we move along to step 12 now. As you can see here, we're putting a couple pieces on E1. And although these popped up before, they don't tell you Arcade1Up is the day in the directions which pieces they are. We've got H1 right here and piece J right there. So you can see there's piece J right in the upper right here. There's my finger right there. And we've got piece H right here. But just be aware, it doesn't matter for piece H1. They tell you the directions that you're gonna wanna make sure we've got the hole right here, but for whatever reason, mine has holes on both sides. So you're gonna be good either way. But for piece J, as you can see here, in the directions, we want to make sure that not only are the holes facing to the left right here, but we also want to make sure, as you can see here, there are screw tops on the side that we can see. And as you can see here, here are our screw tops facing up. And then those holes on this side, you can see, are right here. So we're just going to screw both these pieces in. All right, and after we attach those, so you can see, got those in, we're basically going to flip this piece over and then attach it to the cabinet we've been building. Now, this is probably the most challenging step in building these Arcade1Up cabinets, because when you're flipping these over and putting these on top of what you've already built, as we know, we have lots of dowel rods sticking up and they have to fall perfectly into this side of the cabinet. So what I like to do is use a friend here to help me lay this on top gently, and then kind of wiggle the top here, or this new side that we just built, so it falls into the dowel rods that we have set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just be gentle as you do it. What I would like to do is, when I start to screw these screws in, kind of screw them in halfway, so you allow some wiggle room, so that, you know, this piece here can kind of move around and it's not stuck, so to speak, in one place and tightened up so much that you can't move the piece around to kind of drop into some of the dowel rods. All right, so we've got our other side of our cabinet locked down, as you can see right here. And just important to note, if you're running into some challenges here, you have to be sure that, you know, items like this piece right here and this piece right here are in the relevant grooves right up top. So it's a little cumbersome to get all the pieces in the right slots and make sure all the holes are being filled with the dowel rods, but it's not too bad once you start wiggling the pieces around. Moving on to step 13, as you can see right here, we are going to secure the other side of the cabinet to our control panel. We're going to do that first, just because it's easier to see what you're doing before you put piece H on. So go ahead and get your C screws and put those right in to the brackets. So 2 right here and 2 right there. And after you've secured your control panel to the other side of the cabinet, we're just going to grab piece H and secure that to the top of your cabinet with the E screws. So here is our piece H, and what I'm showing you right here is the outside of it. So what we're going to do is simply slide this right in on top. So the top of it is going to go right in this slot up here, and you're going to screw it into the holes right here and right here. So effectively, it will cover all the wires and the other sides of the speakers right here. So it will look something like that when we get it secured. Moving along to step 14, we are just going to insert our 4 B screws into the other side of the cabinet that we put on. So we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. So we're just going to skip the first part of step 15 because we took off our screen protector earlier. Of course, if you didn't do that, go ahead and do that right now. But the second part of step 15 requires us to remove the protector from our control deck. So as you can see here, we're just going to remove these pieces of tape on either end and then remove the protector itself. So there are my pieces of tape right here and right here. And then we can just pull off the, start on one side of the protector and then just remove the cover. Moving along to step 16, you can see we'll be connecting 2 wires from our machine into the back of the control panel. These two wires, although they're showing them coming out the front, come from the back of your cabinet and connect into the back of your control panel. So, looking at the back of our cabinet, these are the two wires, one of which is the ribbon hanging down right here, and the other is this wire hanging down right there. So to help with the part of this step where you have to plug in the wires into the back of your control deck here, I kind of propped up my control deck so that allows me access to the wires in the back. The ribbon wire is a little too short for it to connect if you have this kind of outside of your arcade cabinet. So I would suggest doing something like this if you're working by yourself. And here's a view from the bottom of our arcade cabinet, looking basically up at our propped up control deck, and our wires are gonna go in right here. The ribbon is gonna go in this slot, and then the other wire is gonna go right in there, and then we're going to attach part of the wire into this little hook right here too. So I know it's not perfect, but this is what the back of your control deck should look like. Bring it out a little bit. All right, so we're moving along to step 17. As you can see here, we are simply going to secure the control deck to the cabinet itself using those B screws. Now, when you go ahead and do this, you'll notice on your control deck, of course, we have our screw holes on both sides. But if you look underneath, you're gonna wanna make sure that the control deck goes over the top of this piece right here and right into this slot. So I'll do that with you guys watching. See how it fits right in there like that? That's when you know you have it in place. Moving on to step 18, and in this first part, we're gonna connect these wires M and B to piece Z, which we have not seen yet. As you can see, we're gonna grab that right now. That piece in real life, here are the two ends, and then here's the other side of it. You can see the light bulb sticker on there. So we're gonna get those two pieces or two wires that are hanging down or should be hanging down from the top of your cabinet in the back, and just connect them to the Z pieces, the wires right here. And then we're gonna plug in the other end of that Z piece into the light bulb part of the control panel right here. So in real life, here is one of those wires, and it doesn't matter which one of these parts of Z that you connect these to. Here's the other one hanging down. Just plug that in, both of those in like that, and grab the other end of our wire Z and put this right into the control panel. So I put it in right there. You can see the light bulb icon right there matches our light bulb icon. Onward we go to, I guess, the second part of step 18, or at least what I'm calling the second part of step 18, and that is where we're connecting the power to our light up deck bar and our light up front panel. You're gonna look for simply wires coming from those spots that have the white pieces of tape on them, and then connect those to the corresponding wires with the white tape that are coming from the control deck. So we have one of those wires right here, as you can see, with the white tape. We have another, it's a little deeper inside the cabinet, coming down from the front. And here's that piece of white tape. And we are simply going to attach those to these wires right here. And these are coming from the back, basically, of your control deck. It doesn't matter, again, which one you plug in. So we're just gonna grab this one because basically it's right here. Plug that in, like that. Then we're gonna grab that other one that's a little bit closer to the front of the cabinet. Simply attach those together like that. All right, in the third part of step 18, we're going to use that new wire, the X1, right here, as you can see. and attached black to black from that same wire that also included the two white taped wires. And then we're going to plug the lightning bolt or the power into the corresponding icon in the control panel. So go in here, and right down here we have our wire that has the black tape on it. We're going to get our other wire, the X1, the new one, so to speak, plug those in together, just like that. And then we're going to get the other wire that's connected to this, the X1, that is the power, and plug that right in to the icon on your control panel with the power icon, just like that. And then the last part of this step, we are simply going to plug in the wire right here that has the sound icon on it into the sound icon port on the back of your control panel. So just find basically the only wire that shouldn't be plugged in for the most part. And ours conveniently is hanging right here. As you can see, there's that sound icon right there. And then here is our sound icon on the back of the control panel. And we just plug that in. Okay, step 19. And we are going to basically grab the end of the wire, that X1 wire that we just installed, and we're going to thread this part through the bottom panel F1 of our cabinet. There's a little piece, and I'll show you this right here, that will stop the wire as you're threading it through the cabinet. Let's take a look. So we've got our F1 right here. As you can see here on the bottom, we're eventually just going to put it into this strip on the bottom right here. It slides right in, but here is our wire. Here is that kind of little nub right here in the, this is going to stop. This part is going to go through the back of our cabinet and then stop right in here. So in reality, so we thread it through the bottom, just like that. And then this part will be a little tight, so you just kind of want to keep twisting a little bit back and forth until it's nudged in there pretty well. And you'll know. So you can see here on the end, there's a little part of it sticking out, and I can't pull or anything on it right now. So that's when you know you've got it installed correctly. So step 20, where we are going to secure F1, as you can see on the bottom here, to the back of the cabinet, and then secure the other part of the back of the cabinet, F. But let's do F1 first, because we've already got that somewhat situated, as you can see here. So these holes, we're just going to, again, put that right in the bottom, right in that slot, like that, and then simply screw our E screws into these holes. And then to complete this step, we're going to grab our piece F, and this simply stands right on top of F1. And you're going to screw those E screws in, one right here, one right here, one right there, and one right there. And we move on to step 21, where as you can see at the top of the page, we have our power source, wire Y. We are simply going to connect that to the wire that we just threaded through the bottom of the cabinet. So, in reality, here's our power. We're just going to connect this to our wire. And we will be finished with the cabinet, at least for now. And we will go build the base of the cabinet, or the riser, so to speak. So we're moving on to step 22, where we are building the base or the riser for the cabinet. And the first step is to just get all the sides, I guess, set up and ready to go, and put the dowel rods in them. So as you can see here, we're going to insert 16 dowel rods into RP, RR, and RL. And similar to some of the other pieces that we've worked with, you are just going to be putting the dowel rods into the two kind of inner holes within each of your piece. So we're moving along to step 2 within step 22. And as you can see here, what we're doing is connecting all the pieces that we just put the dowel rods in. So as you can see here, I've got this first piece RL connected to RP right there. One of the things that you do want to pay attention for here, and I think, well, I guess there are a few things here. So the stickers, again, always are on the inside. You could see sticker here, so that's the way that you know which face of these faces inside. But you're also going to want to make sure the holes are on top here, and I know you can't see the one over here, but the holes should be on top here. And another way to know that is on the bottom of these, you could see the little pieces that should be on the floor when this is all set up, because this will face this way, like that. So we're going to connect the rest of these. And we're moving on to the third step within step 22. And as you can see here, we're just going to put the front of the riser RM on and the back of the riser RO. So you'll know you have it set up correctly. As you can see here, this obviously is the front of the riser. And then we've got this piece and then a similar piece on the other side here that have the graphics on them that look like they would be the side of the riser. Okay, so we are on the fourth step, or step D as I like to call it, within step 22, and that's where we're going to just grab our RQ pieces, as you can see right here, and screw them into the riser. So, again, sticker side down, just like that. All right, moving on to the last step of step 22 here. As you can see right here, we are putting our cabinet in the riser and then securing it with the H screws. So as you can see, I have mine in, and this is certainly a good time to grab a friend to help you put the cabinet safely on top of the riser. There are going to be 2 screw holes on each side here of the riser. There's one here and one here. That's where your H screws go in. Now these are a little bit more challenging to put in than the screws in the rest of the cabinet, and that's because there are no pre-drilled holes on the cabinet for the screw to go into. So you just have to push a little harder, but they will eventually catch the wood and then go in. Okay, so we've got our cabinet all set up and ready to go. As you can see here, it's pretty decent height. It's same as Ridge Racer, and these are both a little bit taller than some of the original cabinets. So we're gonna put together our stool and then get that in front of our cabinet and turn it on. All right, let's get started on the stool. So first step, as you can see right here, we're just gonna place those 2 stool legs together. I have this set up already, and one of the things that Arcade1Up does not tell you in the instructions is that this stool leg right here should be on top of the other, and that's because of the way these fit together right here. As you can see, there's an indentation in the bottom piece, and that allows for the top one to go right over top. You can't put the bottom one over this one because, as you can see, there's a little bump right there. So just make sure the one with the indentation, so to speak, right here is on the bottom. All right, so in step 2 here, as you can see, we're gonna get the foot ring, which is this piece, and slide it over those legs that we just put together so it looks like this. So in real life, get our foot ring, as you can see right here, put it over top, just like that, and line up the openings over top of each other so we can be set to insert some screws. All right, in the next part of step 2, we are gonna get the sleeve, as you can see here. And this looks like a screw to me, so that is this with no threading. As you can see, this is perfectly smooth, so that's gonna go on the inside of your stool right there, or I guess of the hole. And then we're gonna get a small looking screw, as you can see here. So there's our sleeve right here. And you're gonna want to use this screw. It's the smaller one. In your bag, there are two of these that look very similar. You don't want this one. We're gonna use that one later. You want the smaller version. So get that out. And we're gonna connect this with our sleeve through the hole. The way that we're gonna connect those is with the 2 Allen wrenches. So get your Allen wrenches. We're gonna slide our sleeve into the back and connect it together with our little screw. If I can get it to go in there, that would be helpful. There we go. Those together, start twisting a little bit with those. And then we get our 2 Allen wrenches and turn clockwise on both sides. So you simply keep doing this until you tighten everything together. And that's it. We're gonna do the same thing with our other 3 holes around the stool. On to step 3 we go, and as you can see here, we're just going to put the top of the stool, the seat, underneath the legs that we've already connected to each other. So as you can see here, we have that set up. And you're just going to align the holes in the bottom of the seat with the holes from the legs, and then we're going to use those longer screws and just simply install those into each of the holes. And we're going to use our Allen wrench to do that. Grab one here. Just continue this for each of the 3 other holes. So there's a completed look at our stool. Now, if you're wondering in the package why we have some white discs, because those were not used in the instructions at all. And what I'm talking about are these. So if you have set up your stool and you noticed a little, maybe some unevenness on the bottom, what you can do is just simply remove one of the bottoms of the legs, or I guess the cap, and insert maybe 1 or 2 of these in here to even out the leg so there's no wobble when you sit on it. That's what these are for. So you just simply put these in, maybe 1 or 2, and then put it back on, and that's it. All right, so this is where the magic happens. We've got our cabinet built, we've got our stool set up. We're just gonna hit that power button on our arcade cabinet and hopefully everything functions the way it should. Now remember, we have a couple light up panels here. We've got the Marquee, we've got this panel right underneath the control deck, we've got a black light inside, and we've got the joystick, which should light up in a blue color. Let's give it a shot, see what happens. I'm gonna hit the lights as well to give you the full effect. As you can see, it looks like things are working well so far. We're loading up, and as you can see, we've got the Marquee, we've got the panel underneath, we've got the black light, and we've got this kind of cavernous approach in here that is kind of a staple of the original Tron cabinet.